Mitchell Marner has been one of the top skill forwards in the NHL since his debut. He plays on the power play and the penalty kill, producing greatly in all facets of the game, but the fans still hate him, and it's not easy to see why. With an expiring contract at the end of the year, and as a decision faces the front office, who knows what will happen, and the fans may play into the decision more than ever. Come with me to find out what will happen to Mitch Marner. See, fan bases in just about every single sport have long been known to be incredibly harsh on their team's players, and that is intensified in the Toronto Maple Leafs fan base. So much so that many players will flat out refuse to sign with the team, even if they are offering more money. Radko Gudas, when deciding on where he was going to play in the 2023 offseason, said, "I wouldn't want to play in Canada, especially Toronto." But I mean, fair play, because he would have been exiled on day one for this. This reputation didn't come from out of the blue, no pun intended, but was created due to all the ex-Leafs that fans and media would drive out of the city.
Coach just got fired.
You think it's my fault? Is that what you're saying?
I'm
Is that what you're saying?
For Marner, he has been facing criticisms from the fan base for a very long time, and it has just gotten worse over the years. The catalyst of all of the hate is his contract, signed in the 2019 offseason, 6 years, $10.903 million a year. That put him 7th in terms of highest cap hit in the NHL going into that season, outranking some of the best in the league, such as Patrick Kane, Leon Draisaitl, and even Nikita Kucherov. Now, with a contract of that magnitude, everybody within the fanbase expects him to perform up to a near $11 million standard. Since the signing of that contract, Marner has played in 335 games, scoring 127 goals and 415 points. That production, plus being great defensively, is very acceptable in relation to his contract. But the issue is that those are just regular season stats. The Maple Leafs fanbase has gone 57 years without a championship, and every year that the team doesn't perform in the playoffs, the angrier the fanbase will become. Marner has been the poster boy for Toronto's playoff disappointment in the past decade, and for pretty good reason.
We're getting sick and tired of feeling like this, so...
First, let's go over his career playoff stats since his contract went into effect. He's played 37 playoff games since 1920, only scoring 6 goals with 33 points. That is not good at all. While Marner's main talents are in playmaking, getting 6 goals in 37 games from a guy who's getting paid $11 million a year is simply not good enough, and can explain fan outrage. In 5 series-ending playoff games since 1920, he has put up 1 assist. 1. In the most important moments in his career as a Maple Leaf, he has 1 measly secondary assist to show for it. For this, he has been consistently ripped by the media and labeled a disappointment. It is not just the statistics and the box scores, it's also what you see on the ice. In Montreal for Game 6 of the 2021 first round, Marner, who is already on the penalty kill, nervously goes to clear the puck, but instead it goes over the glass. Delay of game, 2 minutes. In the playoffs and in the big moments, Marner just looks nervous and tries his best to not mess things up, but that causes him to overthink and mess up nonetheless. Before we continue here, if you enjoy the content you're watching, consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks. Anyways, with a massive rift between the fans and Marner now, due to the playoff disappointment, people are not sure what will happen to Marner, seeing his contract is set to expire in about 7 months. There are essentially 2 ways that this saga will go. He stays with the Toronto Maple Leafs, or he doesn't. Now, I'll start with what will probably happen if he stays with the Leafs. At this point in his career, Marner, in the regular season mind you, has improved his production from when he signed the contract, if we exclude the playoffs. This points to the notion that Marner and his agent will not be okay with a pay cut, and instead will be looking to get an increase. Now, the biggest issue with Marner's deal was the salary cap going flat during the COVID era. YouTube won't let me say it. See, before this time, the salary cap was constantly raising, going from $75 million in 17-18 up to $79 million in 18-19, and jumping to $81.5 million in 19-20. The understanding was that would continue to be the case, and over time these longer 6-year contracts would start to eat up a smaller percentage of the cap. But as we know, the world halted, and the NHL, like most other national sports organizations, struggled with revenue, so the cap was frozen at that $81.5 million figure for 3 seasons from 2019 to 2022. Marner's deal in the 2021-22 season was worth about 7.5% of the Maple Leafs' total cap space. And if you pair that with all the other massive contracts the Leafs have made, with Tavares, Nylander, and Matthews, there's not much money to go around. It's estimated that NHL lost about $6 million in possible cap space for teams, which really handcuffed the Leafs. Now, that issue is out of everybody's hands. You can't really blame anybody for that. But Marner still picks up flack for his contract, even though it wouldn't have been that bad without the pandemic. So that's why, even though I really like him as a player, I think that Marner will be traded at the deadline, or will just walk in the offseason. There are definitely a few teams that could use Marner, as he's still a top winger in the NHL. I'll go over these possible destinations now. My first possible landing spot for Marner is the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Jackets just tragically lost their top forward, Johnny Gaudreau, in the offseason in a terrible accident. And this sucks for the city as a whole, and leaves a huge gap in their forward core. Now, I'm not going to say Marner can replace Gaudreau's impact, as Johnny Hockey was an integral part to not only the team, but to the city of Columbus as well. But Marner could provide scoring for the team. Columbus is also a smaller market than Toronto, so I think Marner would enjoy getting away from a massive NHL market like Toronto, where he'd be scrutinized less. My next choice might sound a little odd and unexpected, but I could see the Philadelphia Flyers making a splash and going for Marner. They have a fairly good offensive unit with a few young guys, particularly rookie Matvei Michkov, and Marner could fit very well into the offensive systems. And again, it is a relatively small market team, so there'd be less media pressure on him. My last choice is the one I think that is going to happen the most, and that would be the Utah Hockey Club, which by the way should be called the Yetis or the Storm and Mormons. I think it is fair to say that Marner was one of the faces of the Leafs franchise the last decade, but not in a great way. With a move to Utah, he can easily become the face of their franchise, and seeing the hockey scene in Utah is quite fresh. Many fans will be less aware of his shortcomings with the Maple Leafs, thus granting him a fresh start. A fresh start may just be what Mitch needs at this point in his career, as over time he seems to be gaining a worse reputation within the Maple Leafs fanbase and the media. And in Utah, he can slot in nicely on their first line with Clayton Keller, their captain at center, and Dylan Guenther on the wing. And if Marner succeeds in Utah, he could help flourish the hockey market in Utah, which would just be great for the game. At any rate though, Mitch Marner is a great forward, with an incredible future ahead of him, even if that future is quite uncertain. And if we can learn anything from Stamkos going to Nashville, it's that the free agent market is unpredictable, and you can never be certain when discussing landing spots for players. Wherever Marner goes, he'll produce well and hopefully become a fan favorite. That's all from me today though, so thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and let me know down below if you agree or disagree. I will catch you all later.